Also, the other thing I'd like to share with you as far as examples of conversation, but they do make daily decisions, right? And what do I mean by that? When I'm talking to a business owner, I say, every day you make daily decisions on behalf of your business, good, bad, or indifferent. How are you getting those decisions, resolved? Are you, once again, are you taking advice from another small business owner? Are you Googling that decision? Are you just at the whim because of the heat of the moment just making a decision? Do we actually think about our decisions, or do we just go ahead and just blurt out whatever we decide for that day, because we know at the end of the day we don't have qualified people that we can afford on a daily basis to make just day-to-day decisions. And through a program like ours, we can help them with that, and it's very convenient, it's very affordable. Once again, can you give me a few minutes of time just to share with you exactly how we can help you in your day-to-day decisions? So that's just another conversational piece that I'd like to share with you. More conversational situations would be, are you being proactive and preventive in your daily decisions, which can keep us from becoming reactive and defensive? That is a very good way of talking to a business owner and starting the conversation. I've used that a million times. And one of the things that I like to say is, listen, I know as a business owner, we need to be proactive and preventive. Being proactive and preventive in our daily decisions with qualified resources helps keep us from being reactive and defensive. And the last thing that we need to do is become reactive and defensive. Why? Because that's called too late. And so that's a really good way of starting a conversation. The next two bullet points of conversation is very important as well. A small business has big business problems, meaning I don't care if they're a 2-employee size company or a 2,000 employee company. That small business has the big business problems, but they don't have the big business resources, meaning the money. We give small business owners big business resources on a small business budget. And that's exactly what I let business owners know on a continual basis. Small business owners, like you and I, have big business problems, but they don't have the big business resources. What we do through our services with Legal Shield, we actually give small businesses big business resources on a small business budget, meaning a budget that they can afford. And it now allows them to actually reach out and have the same resources, qualified attorneys, qualified consultants, but within their size budget. So they make sure that they're protecting and growing that small business just like big business does every single day. So what I'd like to share with you now is actually value-based selling on the actual product, on the service itself. When we're talking about consultation, let's think about this for a minute. Why would they want or need consultation? We need to expose their need in order for them to see value when it comes to our services. Now, these are some examples of exposing their need, so we then therefore can share with them value of our service. Now, what I mean also when I'm talking about the product is, we have consultation, we have correspondence, we have debt collection, we have that contract area, for contract review, we have our designated contract, we have, designated consultation, we have our trial defense. Every one of those bullet points of service, we need to be able to create value within that one particular part of the service alone for the cost. And so that's what I want to share with you as we're going through that. Keep in mind. So let's talk about some of the questions that we can talk to a business owner about that actually would expose right now his need, so then therefore we can fill it with the value of our product for the cost of the product. So, do you limit your questions based on hourly attorney fees? That's a really good question to ask business owners. Do they prioritize those questions based on cost? Does their office manager or HR director make Google decisions for that business owner? Okay, once again, think about those questions. Those are questions we want to incorporate in to that conversation. I'm going to give you a prime example of how this can all come together. I was doing a presentation on one of our business plans at a BNI organization, and one of the business owners there, she said to me, she said, Melissa, I really think that it's very important for me and my husband to have your business protection for our franchise business. And I said to her, I'd love to be able to share that with your husband. But in actuality, she wanted me to convince him that he needed it. And I said, well, I'm not going to be able to convince him because that's not my job. But I will share with him how our services work, how valuable they can be to your business, and allow him to make an informed decision. So when I stopped by her office one day to speak with her briefly, I also wanted to obviously speak with him. When he came out, I asked him, I said, Mike, I said, can I ask you a few questions? Because remember, selling is not telling, selling is asking, okay? So I said, Mike, can I ask you a few questions about your business? And he said, well, sure. And I said, well, you're a very successful business owner, obviously. So to me, that tells me that you probably have great attorneys that help you with your business, whether it's, a small business attorney here locally, whether it's a franchise attorney for your business. I'm sure, obviously, as a successful business owner, you know the importance of having an attorney. And he said, absolutely. Now, I want to stop here for a second. I want you to understand something. Always assume that the business owner has qualified attorneys, because whether they tell you the truth or not, they're always going to tell you that they do. So that's why I went in with that approach. So I said, so based on that, based on you being a very successful business owner and having qualified business attorneys to help protect your operation of your business, I said, let me ask you a question. Those attorneys could be very costly from time to time, correct? And he said, well, of course. So based on knowing that you have great attorneys then, Mike, I said, that means you also know that they can be very expensive. And he said, well, absolutely. And I say, and based on cost factor, then I'm going to assume then for day-to-day questions, questions that you just may think about today for your business, or questions that may just pop up day-to-day type of things, that you probably limit the questions that you ask your attorney based on cost. And he said, well, yeah, I agree with you there. And I say, well, and from time to time, though, we also will have some legal questions, though, that are very pressing questions, and so you kind of make a prioritized list, meaning that, you're going to say, okay, well, these day-to-day kind of questions, maybe I don't need to ask him, but I'm going to put this on a list next time I speak to him. Maybe I'll go ahead and ask them these types of questions. He said, yeah, I agree with you. I do that. I do make a list from time to time and kind of prioritize where my needs are. And I'll say, and even when you have a pressing question, a very pressing question, I'm sure then, though, that's when you'll pick up the phone and call the attorney. And he said, well, yeah, if I'm kind of backed into a corner, if I'm trying to make that kind of decision, of course I'm going to pick up the phone. I'll say, okay, well, great. So when you call him then, this qualified great attorney that you have, which I'm sure he is, I said, then does that mean because you're one of his clients and you've got a very pressing question, does that mean that he actually calls you immediately back? Or because he is a good attorney, maybe it takes him a little bit of time to get back to you? And he says, well, sometimes it does take him a while to get back to me because he is pretty busy, because he is a good attorney. I said, okay, so let me kind of sum this up. Even though that you have a great attorney for your business, a local attorney here, and you also have a franchise attorney, even though you have access to those attorneys, you still limit your questions. You still prioritize your questions. As a matter of fact, when you have a pressing question, it still takes him a while to get back with you, even though you're a good paying client, because he has other good paying clients. He said, yes, in summary, that's exactly it. I said, well, Mike, if you knew that there was a way for a flat fee of $75 a month where you didn't have to limit your questions, you didn't have to prioritize your questions. As a matter of fact, if you had a pressing question, he would get back with you very timely. If you knew there was a way that you could actually have access to qualified attorneys, just like your attorney, to be able to do that, no limits, no prioritizing, very timely getting back with you, for a flat fee of $75 a month, do you then think that would be something of value to your business? And he said, Melissa, if I knew that there was something like that, I'd want it. I said, well, Mike, that's exactly what I do. He said, well, if that's what you do, he said, sign me up. So associates, I stopped right there. He understood that consultation alone was worth $75 a month because he had qualified for our solutions, our Business Owners Legal Solutions Plan. So you understand, I stopped right there and immediately sold him on the value of consultation for $75 a month because I showed him his vulnerability. I showed him he had a need in his business. He didn't have, even though he said he had an attorney, he didn't have attorneys to be able to just pick up at a whim and call him whenever he needed them. He had to prioritize those. He even had to wait. Even when he had pressing questions, he had to wait on that attorney. Now he understands the value of $75 a month, no limits anymore. Pick up the phone and call as much as he needs to. Doesn't have to prioritize anymore. He can actually ask as many questions as he needs to. And he knows he's going to get that same qualified answer, but he's going to get it timely. So you understand that value alone was worth that consultation. Now, when I went back to follow up, because we always follow up with our business owners, and so when I went back to follow up and teach him exactly how our product works and how Go Small Biz works, And I share with him now exactly the entire service, not just consultation. I sold him on consultation, but now I'm going to go back and share with him his entire service. And I started talking about correspondence. He said, wow, Melissa, he said, that would be great to be able to have an attorney write letters. He says, how much more does that cost? I said, Mike, that's included in the services. He said, wow, I'm pretty impressed. And I got into debt collection, and he said, well, how much is that going to cost? I said, Mike, that's included also. He got so excited, he said, Melissa, what else do you have for me? Because now he's starting to understand the more value that we can offer, but he was sold on consultation alone.